Hey everyone, it's Ten Types and Uncommon Fossil. Welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast episode. I don't know what episode number is. This 26?
27.
27.
27.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah. So probably not when you're listening to our podcast though. Yay. Yeah, so today we're again doing two segments, one of mine and one of Uncommon Fossils. So my segment, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, is about mutant evolution. Which is kind of interesting, and we'll talk about that in the standard format if that were to be added. But then you want to introduce your segment?
Yeah, so the first is a more straightforward thing, talking about partners for Arceus VSTAR.
Wow,
Which
going rogue here.
it is going rogue, and if you're prepping for Worlds, then when it's anything outside of like the top 3 decks is a rogue deck, right? Like, we know that. So obviously we could talk about every V and V-Star and V-Max, but gonna kind of limit the discussion. Familiar with a lot of these Pokemon, but what can you pair with Arceus that is a solid choice, I would say, right?
Yeah, and right now I actually think Arceus might be the best deck in format. As we'll see, it's kind of big, but I don't know. I think it's very close.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things, not this week, but Worlds is coming up soon. We're going to do some picking of what decks might win, and certainly a repeat of an Arceus deck. And then there's many Arceus decks to pick from for it. So that's certainly a strong contender.
Yeah.
So I'll kick things off here with one of my favorites that's not a strong contender, but I have played this deck. You probably have not, and that's Surfing Pikachu, right? The Forgotten Pikachu, who is the spread deck, 160 and 30 to each bench Pokemon. So that's 150 and 160. So 310 damage per turn. Wow, you gotta love it. It's fun. It's not great.
No, it's not great. It's it's not that bad, but I think I'm just gonna move on to the next one.
That's enough said on that.
Flying Pikachu, which is very good. It's a good lightning type.
It won Worlds.
Yeah, it did win Worlds with Arceus. And it's versatile. Well, it's not that. It's good against, obviously, it walls basics, and it also hits lightning weakness. So that's good. The basic V is also kind of annoying. It's not that good, but it can come in clutch at certain times. And then it has free retreat as well, which is really nice. So you can hopefully turn one Arceus V, because I guess we didn't say what Arceus does. I imagine most of you know, but it accelerates energy to Pokemon Vs, and then the V-Star does some damage and also can search out cards, but it's just very versatile with Vs. And so you want to be able to attack with a V turn 1, Arceus V. So if you can retreat into that, that's nice. You can do 1 double turbo. And Flying Pikachu also has, unlike Surfing Pikachu, it has multiple colorless attacks in this colorless energy in its attack cost, which is generally what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, Surfing Pikachu is certainly better. 160 isn't great, so you're either hitting for weakness or for the walling effect, right? It's 160 is not great for a VMAX for 3 energy, but it's a nice option. One of the things that I have to point out for the Arceus's V-Star power is super good. Obviously, you look for any 2 cards in deck. So pretty much if you're playing another V-Star, which you can pair with it, you're probably not using the V-Star power most of the time. You're going to rely on Arceus most of the time to get set up.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have some more, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with one with water energy because those are all the best Pokemon. I'm going to go with Alolan Vulpix V-Star, which is a solid option, and it's another walling one, but a different type of wall than Flying Pikachu. Snow Mirage, when it attacks, it does 160 just like Flying Pikachu, and then it's immune from effects from Pokemon with abilities, which is obviously
immune to damage.
Muted damage. I'm sorry, correct. Just damage. Yes, correct. So Sableye can place damage counters, or that doesn't have an ability anymore.
But Mewtwo V Union is one.
Yes.
So it's cool, and it hits through effects. I think this is probably better, right? There are so many Pokemon with abilities right now. Versus basics. Walling basics is only okay, but there are like Gardevoir has abilities in all its Pokemon pretty much. And so I think it's really good in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the Arceus Flying Pikachu, you're going to have another attacker in the deck usually. You can play Arceus Alolan Vulpix and just do that, which I've done, and it's fairly successful as a deck. So, and then you choose when you use Alolan Vulpix, or you can just kind of bang away with Arceus, depending on the matchup there.
Yeah. Although one thing to note is that Lone Vulpix V-Star has really low HP. It's
Yes.
240. So obviously, like the V's have less HP and they have the same number of prizes, but at the same time,
Yes.
like there are points at like the end of the game where you want to evolve all your Pokemon to get them to as much HP as possible, and Lone Vulpix will still be sitting there, likely in one-shot range. It depends what your opponent's playing, but it's
Right.
noticeably weaker than most of the other fully evolved Pokemon.
Yeah. The HP is very low, so it really is situational of when it's good. It's obviously good for a number of things, but not everything.
Yeah,
And it is water, which is does let you play Melanie too as an option in a deck. So,
yeah. Although I think that's less played now. I don't see too much Melanie, honestly. I can't think of any decks that play it at least in like multiple counts. But you also have a V Star power that does that
mhm.
has it does more for each V they haven't played. It's free. It's one you will use. It's probably the most used V Star power in Arceus decks, other than Arceus is itself. Not that you'll use it often, but
Mhm.
it's nice in the Mew matchup, I'd say.
Right. A no energy auto knockout of a Mew V Max, basically. So
Yeah.
70 damage per V in play. So yeah. But yeah, obviously, if you use a lot of times, you still have to set up with Arceus, and that just is what it is. So you have a Pokemon you want to toss out, or you want me to?
Sure. I think we should talk about the big one, probably possibly the most played or best, and that's Giratina,
Mhm.
which I misspelled. Giratina V Star, which it
Yep.
just does 280 for 3. So
Right.
it's Grass, Psychic, Colorless. So those types are a bit awkward. There
Hmm.
aren't too many great grass. I don't think there are any good. I don't think there are any grass Pokemon we're going to talk about today, if I'm not
I don't
mistaken.
have any grass Pokemon that I've selected. No.
Yeah, there are a few psychic ones, but nothing like insane. So it's like
Right.
typing is not great, but then you do 280, which is very good at KOs, Giratinas, and Arceuses, and you can buff the damage by 30 through Choice Belt or one of the gloves, which people actually sometimes play to be pretty
Yeah.
much one-shotting all the relevant Pokemon right now.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I was thinking of that. Yeah, I think all the relevant Pokemon you can one shot. And then you two need to put 2 energy attached to your Pokemon into the Lost Zone, but this can be a double turbo energy, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, it's just like a strong one. I haven't actually played this deck, I don't think, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, and the two energy do not have to be attached to Giratina V Star, which is important, especially if it's a double turbo, because you don't want to reduce the damage to 260. So you can get rid of it from an Arceus or something. The one thing you give up with Arceus is you can't use the Star Requiem power, V Star power, probably because you use Arceus V Star power, but also you need to get 10 cards in the Lost Zone, which you're not getting with this. So that you lose that, and Star Requiem knocks out whatever your opponent's Pokemon is. So you don't have to worry about what their HP is. You just wipe it out.
Yeah, I've actually seen lists. I think I saw like one list somewhere that played
Hmm.
four colors of experiment, and then they also
Okay.
played. It might just have been that, but you get
Hmm.
energy in the Lost Zone with your attack, and then you also do it with colorless
Colress. Yeah.
experiment. Theoretically, you could get there. It's unlikely, but it was an option.
Okay. Yeah, and Colress is a solid supporter anyway. Um, all right. So I'm going to talk about, well, since we're talking about some of the big things here, Duraludon VMAX, which has been very big. I guess it's dropping off some, but Dragon type 330 HP. So this is obviously one of the higher HP ones, if not the highest. Skyscraper, it prevents all damage done from a Pokemon with special energy, which now that's down in terms of effectiveness, right? There's a lot of basic energy decks around right now, but then it does 220 and it hits through effects. So therefore, you don't have to worry about being walled off. 220 is a solid number. You're taking out basic Vs and EXs generally, and obviously you're two-shotting any of the VMAXs, evolution EXs. But you can trade two hitting with those in a lot of cases, and because you're not getting one shot yourself.
Yeah, and hitting through effects is cool, but then also it's fighting metal, which is really awkward.
Yeah.
There's like Zamazenta V, which is a metal Pokemon. There's going Zapdos V, which is fighting Pokemon, which are okay and sometimes see play. And there are a
Right.
few other fighting like V Maxes or V Stars. I guess they're both V Stars. That are okay in Arceus, but like it's not a great typing to have. Um,
That's true.
it's kind of awkward. It's notoriously inconsistent as well because you just need all these different types of energy, especially if you play Umbreon VMAX, which is pretty common. They're both single strike,
Right.
but then And when you evolve into Umbreon, you just gust. So, and you can also attack. It is 160 for 3, which isn't
Right.
that good. We've seen stuff like that before, but they have upsides. So this one's like not that good, but it's okay for hitting weakness in certain scenarios. But
Yeah.
mostly there for its ability. But then it gets very clunky. Like I have a list here. It plays like 2 dark, 2 fighting, and 5 metal in a single strike, and it's just kind of weird. Um,
Yeah.
I think Umbreon, Duraludon, aka Dumbreon, is a notoriously inconsistent deck.
Yeah, and I think it peaked a little while ago. It became kind of the hot deck to play not that long ago, but I think it's cooled off because of the inconsistency. And obviously, with 3 types of energy, it's even tougher. But obviously, a free gust with, in a sense, without using your supporter for turn is nice. But again, and I think people sometimes just use Umbreon with Arceus if they want to try that strategy too. But yeah, not necessarily my top choice, but something that certainly sees a lot of play.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the big 3 partners for Arceus are Flying Pikachu, Alolan Vulpix,
Mhm.
and Umbreon because they cover like a good variety of things and they're useful generally across the board. But then they are helped by Arceus a ton because Arceus can just
Mhm.
like carry you in general matchups as well. So I think like there's a good set of just very solid supporting and somewhat techy Vs that can help you out in a number of situations.
Yeah, I'm gonna just toss out a couple of Vs that aren't VMAXs that aren't top of the line, but certainly options. Aggron VMAX, a metal, 330 HP.
Aggron's
Um,
bad.
people play it some though.
A
I
little,
wouldn't play
but
it.
it's not. I
I'm
don't know.
just all right. That's enough said, probably right. It's not
Yeah,
great, but it's an option.
it's
Uh,
bad.
ta- this next one is better, and that's Tapu Koko VMAX. It's a solid Pokemon. Again, it doesn't see a ton of play, but it's been pretty effective in the past, and I think it still is probably pretty solid.
Yeah, it
It
paralyzes if you're down on prizes. I think
Yeah.
Flying Pikachu is better. Like, they're different, but yeah, there's still some. A big part of them is like hitting for weakness, but I know there are
Yes.
some people who really like Tapu Koko, and I admit that one's a decently strong deck.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. Another one that I liked that it actually is more solid than I thought is Gyarados VMAX. So I want to talk about that for a minute. It's 330 HP, which is nice, right? Harder to get. It does max tyrant does 240 damage, which is a very nice number. It was much better than I thought when I played it. Now it's 4 energy, so it's rough. Even with Arceus accelerating 3 energy, you still have attach per turn. But now at 240, you're one-shotting all of the basic EXs and all of the basic Vs, because some are 230 and such. So that extra hitting above 220 is a plus, and it actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. Like it's not the worst, but I don't know. I don't think it. I don't. I'm not a big fan of it either.
Okay.
So, and do you have anything else you wanna? Any other
Other
Pokemon?
Pokemon?
Yeah.
I do. I'll just quickly. You don't have anything else you need to bring up, do you?
I have a few more. Yeah, I have a few more. I'll go over
Um,
my. I got one more that I think is very good actually.
Go ahead.
So some of you may know Hasoon Decidueye V-Star. That one won the World
Mhm.
Championships. That one's good, but
Yeah.
I think it's actually outclassed by Aerodactyl V-Star. Aerodactyl does for Fighting Colors. Colors does 240, and then you have to mill the top 3 cards of your deck into the Lost Zone, which
Hmm.
is not great, but it's still like 240. You're just saying was good. This one hits it for better typing, and also does it
Yes.
for cheaper. So it does have a downside, but it's much easier to power up. 260 HP is a bit low, but then you also have a really good V-Star power, which
Yes.
it used to be insane. It pretty much just stops your opponent from using Pokemon V abilities. Notably, it stops Lugia, which is theoretically
Right.
very
It
important.
shut it down back in the day when Lugia was running rampant. So,
Yeah.
but obviously Lugia's fallen off, but it's still a very important, and that's just one energy. So that you know you will use that V Star power instead of Arceus's in some matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hisuian Decidueye V Star was what was in the world's deck, but of course, the Aerodactyl wasn't out yet. So, they're both solid fighting choices, though,
Yeah.
worth considering.
So,
Um,
so what do you have? You said you have a few more.
I have two. So I have 3 dragon types. So you want to guess them?
I bet they're Gudra,
Yep,
Soon
Gudra
Gudra
V Star.
V-Star. You have, I think you have 4. The one's Regidrago V-Star,
Yes,
and the one is Rayquaza VMAX.
yes, and
But
then
and then I think there's also Dragonite V's interesting.
That
but
that
not I don't
yeah,
know. I'm not a big fan of it either. So
right. I mean, it
in
gets
Arceus,
played.
it's good. It's good in Lasso.
Yes, it gets more there. So yeah, hitting those V Maxes, the dragon types quickly. Rayquaza V Max has a very nice ability. You as your pulse, where you discard your hand and draw three. Obviously, not something you want to do all the time, but it's a nice option. And then max burst, 20 damage plus 80 more for each lightning or fire energy you discard off. But obviously, how do you get those energies into play is tough. But if you can do it, you're doing huge damage, and of course, you have no weakness. So um, it can be good. Obviously, making it work is a task.
Yeah, and then you can do the traditional ways with Flaffy, which is okay but kind of
Yep.
inconsistent, or pretty inconsistent. But then you also have you played it with Armouge, right?
Right, Armor Rouge and Magma Basin, and I put in the Radiant Heatran because that becomes a big threat also. Um, which obviously they'll gust up and knock out probably at some point, but quite frankly, they're gusting up to knock out a single prizer, and I still have my three prizer in the game, so I don't necessarily mind that all the time.
Yeah,
Um, it's just obviously it's making the pieces happen. It's not easy in that regard. So um, talk about Hisui and Gudra, which I like a lot, and I think you've enjoyed it too. 270 HP, Dragon type, of course, no weakness again, and Rolling Iron Attack does 200 for water metal. This is a deck, if you're playing Arceus, you would play Melody in the deck, I have to assume, because you want to get those waters accelerated and draw some cards with it too, probably. So it
maybe.
does.
Did you play with Gyarados? I was wondering that actually. Do you play Melanie in the Gyarados deck?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I'm
because you need like
pretty
an
sure.
extra energy anyway, so it makes a lot of sense there.
Right. And accelerate energy and draw three cards is often it's a nice option to have.
Yeah,
Um,
it's good, but I mean, it doesn't like pay your attack in one turn anyways because you need to have two more attachments. So I know I played
yeah.
Arceus Scudra, and I don't think I. Let's see, I actually have a list here. I played. No, I don't. This list doesn't play Melanie.
You don't
Some
have to
do,
play it.
but it's not like I don't think it's that important.
Okay, but Rolling Iron does 200, which is a solid number, and then it takes 80 less damage from attacks the next turn. So it is at 270 HP. So you're not getting one shot as long as your opponent can't get you out of the active and gust you back again. Um, and then it's got Moisture Star, which you might want to save if you can help it within the Arceus battle, because then you heal off all damage from from your Gudra, which then they're two shotting the Gudra. You heal off a turn. Now they have to do two more hits to knock it out. So that's four hitting a Pokemon, and that puts you in a nice spot if you can do it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think you usually can't Moisture Star because it's awkward. But
Yeah, you're going to do that more in the Lost Zone deck, which obviously you can build it that way too.
yeah.
And then Reggie Drago V Star, which I think. Uh, so Apex Dragon is one of the decks you could use Gardenia's Vigor, which is still probably sketchy, but you could consider it. Grass, Fire for the attack, and then you copy any attack of a dragon Pokemon in the discard pile and use its attack. So, and if you use copy Gudra, then you get the damage reduction next turn, and you have any of the options of that, like we talked about Rayquaza, probably not Rayquaza, but Regidrago, um, Giratina, and such. So you have some nice options. Setting up's a little awkward, but
Wait,
Arceus
what?
obviously
You
is.
mean you mean? Oh, you said Reggie
Go ahead.
Draco. I don't know. Whatever you said wasn't
I
right.
misspoke. Yes, sorry. So,
It's
but with
Duraludon, um,
Yeah, Duraludon,
Giratina,
and
Gudra.
yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah, and
Um,
Appleton or Flapple if you want as well.
yeah, so it's a fun deck to play. It's not the best partner, I guess it's fair to say too.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Is that it you have?
The last one I have is not a V Star or a V Max or a basic V, but Mewtwo V Union. So we don't want to
Wow.
forget that. Here I have Mewtwo V Union's paw up on my screen, so we can all enjoy. You can't see the whole thing at once, of course.
I got the thigh, the extra thick.
Yeah, I did the paw because it's got the name of the Pokemon, and obviously
Wow.
it's
Wait. Oh yeah, it does.
right.
It doesn't have the face. The face like is the normal one, I
No,
think.
yeah,
Um, you got the big fidget spinner hand though.
exactly. So it's a solid choice. it was a reasonable choice. I don't know how good it is now. So
Yeah, I think it's still okay. It's not like the healing thing isn't really viable now, but it's okay. You can power it up now, but I don't think it's good with Arceus. But okay, so I have a few more.
that
Let's see, which are like worth talking about. SB on VMAX is definitely worth talking about. Its ability says all your Pokemon that have energy attached to them, which is obviously going to be like your attacker and maybe some other ones, are immune to effects of attack. So that's nice.
yes.
Against, I don't know, it's good against Giratina V-Star specifically,
Hmm.
and also Sableye. But then you also have Max Mindstorm, which does for Psychic colorless, you do 60 for each energy attached to all your opponent's Pokemon. If they've just stacked with Arceus V-Star, you probably one-shot anything, which is really nice. Um,
Yeah.
and then we also have, let's see, I'm looking at my other decks that I've got here. What like are these decks? Let's find something. Yeah. So we have Jumpluff. No, what? That's not right. Whimsicott. Whimsicott's the one I meant to bring
Okay.
up.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. It's it like stops special energies. And also tools, and it has like an interesting snipe attack. But it's not that good. But this one used to see a bunch of play. Right, like when
Hmm.
it came out, and it was kind of cool, but it wasn't that good either. And then we have there's Sylveon. So Sylveon VMAX is really cool because it does more for each different type of Pokemon on your bench, and it's pretty
Yeah.
strong. I think it's cool, and it's still actually all right. And then you can play it with like Urshifu, and then you
Hmm.
could play it with Leafeon. You could play it with Blaziken, Zero Aura. You like those? There are tons of options.
Yeah.
So I think that one's cool. And then there's also one last thing. Oh, well, one thing, actually, two things. The one's
Hmm.
fire, right? So you were talking about Rayquaza. There you can play
Yes.
Delphox V, which is kind of interesting.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Um,
That hits to on the bench as well as the active, so
yeah.
gives some versatility.
And then also the last question is, what engine do you pair with it? So I think a lot of the times they don't play any engine, but my favorite engine to
Right.
play with it is the Gardevoir engine. Or I don't know, it doesn't actually play any Gardevoirs, but it plays Curlias, Ralts, and then also plays Gallade. There's two Gallades, one that searches for supporters, one that hits fighting weakness. It's really good
Hmm.
against the Arceus Mirror, and then the Curlias just draw cards. So I think the Gardevoir engine is pretty interesting in Arceus.
I mean, my go-to engine is going to be the Vivero Squovit engine. Like looking at my Alolan Vulpix Arceus deck, it's one Squovit and a two Bibero, which works pretty well with the deck too.
Yeah, I think I put that engine. I haven't played it much, but I think I put it in my my Arceus UV Max deck.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm not sure if it played. I don't remember what was in that deck, but I think it's time we move on to something a bit more interesting. I guess.
It's certainly more different, right? You
Yeah.
like alternate formats. This is an alternate format, and it's also generally goes with cubing, right? So you should probably talk about that a little bit. And
Yeah.
what we're not doing, but now we're taking that out of the cube environment.
Yeah.
So
So and cubes or cube drafts, which is a thing in Pokemon where you um like it's just a format. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't, it's not a huge deal. But people do something called a mutant draft where you have mutant
well, hang on a second. So with the cubes, there's a pre-selected set of cards. You have a group of
yeah.
players, and 800 cards. So
Yeah, the
normally
cube is
for
the set of cards.
yes, that everyone pulls from. So there's a limited set of cards. We're in mutant formats, one of them which you explain, but now we're going to expand mutant to any card you want.
Yeah,
So
in
get
standard,
back
in
to it.
standard.
Yeah.
So mutant format or mutant evolution is when you have a Pokemon and it can evolve into, I guess, technically any Pokemon of its type. I don't know the formal definition, but the way we're going to be taking
Mhm.
it is that, say, normally you can evolve like a Ralts into a Curl into a Gardevoir Gallade. Well, now you can evolve that Psychic Ralts into, like, say, a Bayonet. And then that Bayonet can evolve into a Gardevoir. But so it's any type, any Pokemon of one type can evolve into other Pokemon of its same type. So you can go basic stage 1, stage 2 of that type. You can go
Mhm.
basic to a stage 1 EX, which can now no longer evolve just like it does normally. And then you can go to a basic to a regular stage 1 to a stage 2 EX, which of
Mhm.
course can't evolve because stage 2s never evolve. And then Vs don't evolve into single prizes because that's not how it works. But basic V, like say I have Leafeon V
Mhm.
here, can evolve into either Hisuian Lilligant V Star, a Grass V Star, or Celebi V Max, which is a Grass V Max.
Yep.
Radiants don't evolve. V unions
Mhm.
are normal. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Anything else? Did that make
No,
sense?
I think that covered it pretty well. And obviously, you could not play this on live because it only allows the traditional evolution rules.
Yeah, I think we might be trying this on Untap. We'll see.
Right.
I'd like to. If any of you out there actually want to try this on Untap, that'd be cool too. I'd be willing to do that. You can just join my Discord or whatever, or just comment down below. And if you're on like listening on Spotify, if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to listen on Spotify. But if you want to contact us, comment down below on one of our YouTube channels.
Yep.
But let's just talk about I think the first type, which is grass, right? So you have some ideas, or do you want to go in a different order?
No. I think just going through the order of the types as they're generally listed is fine. And my focus of things was good abilities. And I didn't have a lot of things with grass, I got to say, but some. So let's see. I had one of the things which you
Okay,
have
one thing
two.
I wanna preface before is grass is bad in current standard, but I think grass is like
Yes.
insane. Well, I don't know if it's insane here, but some of you may know a card called Force of Giant Plants, and that is kind of implemented in through this.
Right. I mean, grass gets a big boost. I'm not sure how good it is, but it jumps up a lot because of this scatterbug, which is the basic, which I don't. Oh, I guess I don't own any copies of because it's not any good in standard. But scatterbug has the ability adaptive evolution. It can evolve the turn you play it, and then you can evolve that even in standard into spupa, which again has adaptive evolution. You can evolve with the turn you play it, but then in mutant evolution, can become any stage 2 you want on the turn you started out with your basic, which is quite nice. The stage 2, which I don't remember what it is now
Yeah, it's
offhand,
Pavilion.
is not good, right? Because otherwise you'd play it potentially, and I've never
Yeah.
even considered it. So, but now, so you can get turn 1 if you go second, you can be attacking with a stage 2 or in a stage 2 EX also.
Yeah, and then there's also Skiploom, which some of you I'm sure are familiar
Yep.
with its ability Solar Evolution. It's the same as the whatever the ability on Eevee is called, where you attach an energy and then you immediately
Right.
evolve it. That Eevee's not in standard, but
Right, and
Skiploom,
you search your deck for the card that it
yeah.
evolves from.
Oh, I
Yep.
realized I forgot a card. There's an Eevee, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Okay.
So what grass Pokemon do you have to evolve into?
I honestly, pretty much have nothing. I have one which you won't respect, and that's Spidops EX.
Spinops X isn't like good. Why do you need that out like faster? It increases retreat cost, but that's it.
Exactly, and the attack damage 90 per, so you can start doing big damage right away. Have a stall deck. Boom, they're locked down from turn 1. Your opponent just quits the game every time. Before they even get their first turn off. Right,
Okay.
you get 4 Spidops into play. You just quit the game. Right, go
Yeah.
on. I
Okay.
told you I got nothing, right?
Okay. Well,
I said
trust me,
nothing you'd respect.
I got a lot of. And Spinops isn't like the worst idea, but I got some spice. So first of all, there's Grottle, which searches for a grass Pokemon. It's a stage 1. It's okay, but it's kind of cool if you're playing a stage 1. You might play it. And
Mhm.
then there's Torterra, which actually evolves from Grottle, which does more for each evolution you have in play, which is okay. Um, But
Right.
then this is where it starts to get spicy. So first of all, I have Excelgor, which is actually a Fusion Strike Pokemon, so you can power it up with Power Tablet. But then it does 120. It's normally for 3, but if it swings into the active, it's only 1 grass. So that's a pretty solid damage output. That's like Cramorant levels of damage. It's a little more.
Mhm.
It has less HP, but that's pretty good, right? Turn 1, 120.
Yes.
Um, and then if you thought that was good, we have Shiftry,
Well,
um,
okay.
which is are you pulling these up or are you just like giving
I'm
up?
trying to, but I don't know how to spell them.
Shiftry, it's like shift, like the key.
Oh wait,
Um,
do I not have
I don't know. You
all?
probably don't have all
I
these.
don't have all. I didn't have all selected, so I only saw a dark one. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So
I
this
got
one
it now.
has is kind of interesting, but notably for tearing, tearing a gust, which is
Yes.
210, and then that card and all cards attached to it go to
For
a
one
loss for
energy,
one,
which is
for one
210 for
grass.
one energy. Yes.
So that's very strong. Turn 1, for 1 energy, or it doesn't even have to be like it's just good. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty strong. I've honestly seen this pop up occasionally, very rarely, but I've seen it. Um, but yeah, that's quite good. That's I think the most powerful, essentially the most powerful attack you can do turn 1 with this. And then there's also a few other things. The one thing that I think is also very good is Beautifly. Beautifly is a very good one that's actually, I've played some, and it has an ability that lets you draw until you have 6 cards in hand, which is very good. We've seen stuff like it. It's good. It's like Crobat's ability. You can use it every turn. You can get it turn 1. And then there's
Yeah.
also, let's see, what else is worth mentioning? Okay, I'm going to talk about Meowscarada EX. This is another one. This one sees play standard. You could ping, and this
Okay.
attacks
Yes.
okay. It's, you can get this in play turn 1 as well to just annoy your opponent. And then I guess I'll talk about the stupid thing, which is the other grass stage one EX, Fortress EX. Which KOs itself. Oh, it's a Terra Pokemon. I didn't know that. But you could KO yourself. So you can actually get 3 Fortress EXs into play turn 1 and lose. Or you
There
can
you
get
go.
2 turn 1 and do it and then annoy your opponent, power up the one Pokemon that I always call Slugma. It's not Slugma. I think it's Wu-Chen. Wu-Chen EX, which snipes your opponent's bench. You can get absurd amounts of energy in play in the first turn of the game. It's kind of dumb, but it's funny.
Yeah, and you can Iono down to 2 card
You
hand
can.
on turn 1, so you'll probably lose the turn after, but you had your fun.
Yeah, and there are a few other things that are kind of cool, but I think those are definitely the best. Oh, there's one more I'll mention. It's Arboliva, which is interesting as a grass stage 2, but keep in mind you can just pop into play at any point. When you play this Pokemon and evolve it, you may heal all damage from one of your Pokemon.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. I don't know if it's worth playing, but it's not awful, I don't think.
Well, and what you see is if you had Scoop Up in format, then it would be crazy busted, right? This way, because then you
Yeah.
could evolve it, boom, 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 heal, scoop, boom, 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 heal the next Pokemon. But honestly, it didn't sell me that grass is busted with these
Grass,
attackers.
you can KO anything turn 1. It's insane.
I guess I'm not sure you do it much turn 2, but okay, we'll see as we move on. So that's your big grass sell, right?
Yeah, I think grass is good. I mean, it compared to regular standard, where it's awful.
Well, it may be the biggest boost, so it might not be the worst type now, but I'm pretty sure it's not the best type.
Maybe. I think it's quite good.
Okay, so the next type is fire, going through the order of things, right? So I have a couple things. I didn't have a basic. I always want to look for a basic stage 1, stage 2, but you have Armarouge as a stage 1 that can evolve from anything. Obviously, a really nice Pokemon to have in play. Move fire energy from the bench to the active whenever you want. And then you got the stage 2. You can put some with the Charizard from Pokemon Go, Burn Brightly ability. Your fire energies count as 2 fire energies. So now you're getting massive fire energies going pretty quickly. And since you can obviously get a couple Armarouge in play, and one of them can become the Charizard, it sets up nicely.
Yeah, and also I think one thing you'd like as well is Rapidash, which is stage 1 again that you discard a fire energy from your hand to do 30 more with your fire Pokemon that turn, which is also pretty good.
Yes.
And it's you can just add it to that line somewhere.
Right, and you want Magma Base in probably the deck, so you want to get energies of the discard to get them back to, so it fits in quite nicely.
Yeah, in terms of basics, there's a couple of Moltres which are okay. The one that buffs damage, the one that is a decent attacker, and there's also an Oricorio, which I think is kind of cool. Well, there's also the Fusion Strike one, but the one I have here is the one from Paldea Evolved that says once during your turn you will heal 20 from your active evolution Pokemon, which is certainly all right. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's cool.
Yeah, and with this mutant format, you might just put 4 of these Oricorios in the deck because you don't really want them in play, but they're useful, and then they evolve into the stage 1s and stage 2s that you want later on. So it makes cards like this fit into decks more.
Yeah. Is that it you have for fire, or do you have more?
You have Skeledirge to attack with?
The EX or the stage single prize?
I believe the EX. Let me take a look at what I grabbed here. See we didn't get to any attackers, which is a bit of an issue, right?
Yeah, I have some interesting ideas. I don't know. I don't think fire is the greatest thing in the world either.
No, but see the Skeledirge, which does 270 minus 10 per damage on it, is nice, and it's 340 HP, so it is tanky. And the fact that you can spring it from some other Pokemon makes it more of an option.
Yeah, and this has to do with Oricorio as well. I think it's kind of what they're intended to be with.
Yeah. So,
okay, I got some other ones here. In terms of multi-prizes, I don't think it's amazing. Arcanine EX is okay as well.
Yeah.
I have that one. It's kind of cool. And it's also stage 1, so it's easier to play. But then I have some cool stuff. I have Heatmore. You've played with that Heatmore as well. The one that if you have, it's in the starter deck. If you have like 6 energy, you do a 90 and then
Mhm.
180 snipe. Um,
Right. Yeah. So you can
it's
set that
it's
up
okay
much
with
easier.
Armarouge if you have Armarouge and Charizard, you can definitely get it set up. There's a
Right.
Cinderace, a single strike one that I've mustered into play before, but now if you can evolve it, it's okay. I don't know. It's a decent single prize attacker. I don't know if I love it, but it might be the best one we have. And then there's a really
Yeah.
cool Incineroar, which copies the attacks of the previous evolution, which is the one that really interested me. I didn't look into it too much because you have like the Torracat and Litten, which are
Mm.
both all right. Um, but that's a really interesting effect of its attack because
Hmm.
one, like take the heat more. Now you can actually you only need you need 4 energy instead of 6, but um it's interesting. You can copy just weird attacks, and I don't know. I think it's cool. I don't know if it's that good though, but it seems really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. What basics and stage ones can you have that are obviously give you options? There's stuff there, and then with the flare shot, if you have
Charizard.
the Charizard, that does 180 then for 2, which counts as 1 energy and discard all energy. So if you just do 180, lose the energy, that's okay too.
Yeah, I think there's some like solid options here. It's still a stage 2. Like you're not getting these stage 2 into play super easy. I actually made a test deck with the
Right.
grass ones we talked about, and it was
Okay.
kind of clunky. I mean, I only played at turn 1, but because I did like a test thing on, I think it was like the Limitless Simulator or whatever, which is kind of sketchy. But
Okay.
I messed around with it because I don't know if you can do single player untap, but yeah, I messed around with it and it like kind of worked
I,
and it
I
was funny.
I think you can. You
You
can like
can,
I think you can and just kind of solitaire. I think, but I'm not certain.
yeah. But next it's water type, right?
Yes.
In water, I think you have a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's one of the best types in the TCG right now, and for quite a while it was very good. I realized there's one. No, I have it. Yeah. So what do you have? And then I'll go over
Yeah,
mine
I
because I
have a
have more.
few here.
I have 38.
Okay, I have more than I had before. I have 5.
Ooh,
So,
5. Wow.
so let's see. So, well, I'll just look. So, your stage 2, Baxcalibur, it's great, right? You probably still have it because it's busted,
I
right?
mean, it depends what deck you're playing, but it's good.
There's a lot of decks
Certainly.
that would like that, right? So, and now
Like
we
you can
can
just
come
play
back.
Chen Pao with some buffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, but so if you have that, we can now see in stage 2 Ludicolo back, right? Your old friend, right, with
Yeah.
enthusiastic dance ability, which is a very nice thing. But now you can evolve it from anything, so that becomes an option. You have a couple basics. You have Manaphy, of course,
Which
with
one?
the.
I have 3.
All right, so let's see. So we have the one is Wave Veil, right? That's the one I was thinking of first because it's nice, but you don't always want it, and especially
Yeah,
you
but
start it
it's
in.
like fine. You can like chuck like 2 of it in any water deck, and it's like fine.
Right. And now you don't mind playing it in games you don't need it. So, and then we also, so let's see, the other 2 mana fees, let's see, we have one with Ocean Search ability. Once during your turn, if it's in the active spot, you may look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal a Pokemon, put it in your hand. So that's nice, right? I
Yeah, that's like
assume,
a
okay,
solid setup Pokemon.
it is. I mean, obviously without Air Balloon, these things are much worse, but
It's only one
still.
retreat. You do have Beach Squirt, so that's fine.
And then let's see. Oh, wait, where's the other? Oh, and the other one, I
It's
don't
the
own the other
promo
mana fee.
one, the promo man. If you
Oh, is
don't,
that? It's a promo. That's why I don't have it.
yeah,
Okay. So let's think. So pulling currents for 1 energy, your opponent reveals their hand. You put up to 2 basic Pokemon onto their bench. So that's the main attacker
yeah,
with
it's
that
like
one,
a
right?
control attacker.
So if I don't know if water wants to be a control deck in and of itself, but you have it as an option.
Yeah.
And
And
then
is
and
that
then I
it?
have and I have one stage 1, and that is um. Oh, did I say wishy washy? I
Oh,
think
you
I
did not
skipped
say
that,
wishy
right?
washy. No.
So that's another basic, and this is the great basic, right? Rapid Strike Pokemon's always good. Ability. So if this Pokemon has 3 or more energies attached, it gets 1 plus 150 HP. So it goes from 30 to 180 on a single prize, and then it does 30 plus 30 more damage for each energy attached. So this with Baxcalibur, you're just gonna mow through all your opponents seamlessly. Obviously,
Okay, so there's
um,
one thing I want to say about wishy washy. Its
go ahead.
name, the attack name, I always read it the other way around, which I don't think I should say. And I don't know. I just
Oh,
like what I see. It's like it's very similar to that. I think it's like an awful name. Like
Yeah, I mean schools of fish, but
I
yeah,
get the idea, but like,
but yeah, our day and age, there's too much.
uh,
These
yeah,
incidents happen too much, I guess. So we'll just
yeah.
leave it at that. And then
Anyway.
and then the other one, big HP, we got the stage one, we got Warlord,
Oh
which
yeah,
I
I
just
don't
got
have where the one that does more for each. If he has special energy and it like it's just big,
right. So it's right. It's got 200 HP on a stage
you
one, so
evolve
that's
into the Baxcalibur and then you die.
and it takes 30 less damage from
Or
attacks.
you
So
could do
not
the
only
221, but you probably do the one with 200 and then takes less. Just taking less is better if you evolve it.
yeah, I mean, but you may just want to go with the Waylord too. Honestly, I don't know if you want to evolve it, not to an
Yeah.
attacker, maybe for an ability, but it does. It's 4 energy, so you need Baxcalibur or something to get set
Oh, the
up.
other one's 5 energy. I just looked at it. That's a lot.
So yeah, this one's only 4, right? But but it does 120, and then an extra 120 if it has a special energy. So which actually you could play obviously with the reversal energy too, right? These days,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want it in a regular deck. But so 200 plus 30 reduction, doing 240 damage. It's something to think about.
yeah. So I have a few other ones. I'll talk about the rapid strike ones first. I guess there's a Basculin, which is rapid strike, which is
Hmm.
okay. It does more of each damage counter on them. It's not bad. But then there's the
Yeah.
Starmie, which is really interesting. It's very similar to a Raichu, or I think it was a Alolan Raichu. You discard any amount of water energy from this Pokemon, then for each card you discarded, you do a 30 snipe to one of your opponent's Pokemon. You can mix and match. Pairing this with Baxcalibur, it's more efficient
Hmm.
now. You can have Wishy-Washy. I think it's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
and then let's see where else should I go. I'll talk about one of my favorite Pokemon actually from Scarlet and Violet. Tatsugiri with its attack, which I think it's supposed to be like French or something, but it's mice in place. Um,
Yeah. I guess it's French. I didn't know it was French,
I
and I'm
don't think
not
it's
sure
English.
how.
I don't think it's
No, it
mice in
doesn't.
place.
No, but that's
Anyway,
mise
so
en place, maybe. I don't
yeah.
know.
Um, I think it's mise en place or something. But so anyway, you search your
Okay.
deck for water energy and you accelerate it, or you have like a hit and run attack. It's kind of cool. There's also the Dondozo. I don't think that would work very well in Mutant, but it's a thing. Um,
Probably not. I mean, it's a tanky basic, right?
no, the
So
Dondozo, not the Tatsugiri.
the Dondozo wouldn't work, right?
No, the Dondozo is tanky. The Tatsugiri is not the one that's
Yes,
tanky.
correct. No, right.
There's also Titan, which is kind of like the Wailord. It's a little less tanky, but it's easier. You can pay it for one reversal. There's Sobble's interesting. Sobble searches for your rapid strike Pokemon. It's actually super interesting because it allows you to set up pretty much any Pokemon in the entire game. Because I don't actually know if I don't think there's a rapid strike Pokemon of every type, but pretty much every type. So you can pretty much set up whatever, which is really cool. Um, and then there's also some other cool ones. There's Kingdra. There's two Kingdras, one that like is an
Yeah.
attacker, one that's an ability. There's a couple of Articunos, one that buffs damage, one that paralyzes. There's an interesting Floatzel, which is a control Pokemon that allows you to recover cards. There's a
Hmm.
Slowbro that lets you take prize at the end of the game. It's actually very good. You probably play that in most decks. And speaking of control, there's a Palkia that can Stadium Lock your opponent if it's in the active. There's the Rapid Strike Intellion, which is also good for pinging. I think that could actually come back if you introduce this. Ice
Yeah.
Cube for walling. A
Hmm.
Wug Trio for mill. Golduck for Pokemon removal. Buku to like draw. I guess I don't know if you'd play that one, but it's
Right.
interesting. Frostlash for energy acceleration. It's not
Hmm.
that good, but you might play one or two.
Right. I mean, because you can get the Baxcalibur fairly simple with this deck. So
Yeah, I'll skip some of these. The Slowbro though that like removes damage or moves damage to it is interesting.
right. Hmm.
For like healing based stuff. There's also like an Azumarill that apparently I have on this list. That's another control one. But then this is the first type that we have multi-prizers, I think, that are worth running. The one I have,
Okay.
not Carvano, probably. I have that one here. But Star Movie is interesting. It's free retreat. Solid tech. Actually, this one you could play an Arceus as well. It's a good Arceus mirror
Yeah.
counter. But Luminion as well. Luminion's like super good.
Hmm.
Luminion you might just play like 4 Luminion because it's really good. You also have like Suicune, Empoleon, but then you evolve it into like Ice Rider, right? You like Ice Rider, Palkia,
I do.
Alolan
Yep.
Vulpix, or Inteleon VMAX. So I think
Hmm.
any of those and like some mixture of those could actually be very strong as well.
Right. You put in a couple Luminion if you're playing any Water V Stars or V Maxes, I would imagine. Because that Luminion often just sits there and you don't really like it, but now you're converting it to something else that you like. Um, so yeah, I mean, honestly, look, this set of water cards could be annoying. There's some control stuff, and it's powerful, and I think I got to say it's better than grass at this point. What do
I
you
was
think?
afraid you were gonna say that. Maybe it might be better than grass. It's good. Um,
It seems like it has more options that I'd want to consider, right?
it does. It
Than
definitely has
grass
more
does.
options, but like grass is like you can do like crazy stuff. I think grass is super high roll, but really funny. Um,
Yeah,
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 water
yeah,
is like very like safe and solid. I think.
yeah. You have a lot of choices that are solid. Just jumping off that Sobble comment. Any Pokemon with call for family, right, where you search for like two basics, that may become a viable basic because you can evolve it to something else that you want later on, but you have the option to get some Pokemon in play early. So Pokemon like that get opened up too, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Next up we have what lightning or is it psychic? I think it's lightning, right?
We have Lightning, yeah, and I have one
You have
Pokemon for
one.
Lightning.
Wow, I have 23.
Yeah, so again, I was looking for abilities, and I just got Flaffy. Right, Flaffy's good. There's other things that are good too, but that obviously Flaffy accelerating a lightning from the discard pile to your bench is very good.
Yeah. And then so I have like some. I think lightning's not the best, but there's a few interesting ideas. Pre-evolutions, you have some like
Hmm.
attackers. You have Pachirisu, which is cheap. You have some
Yeah.
Regielekis. You have the Zeraora or like Emolga, which are free retreaters, which is kind of nice. They're not great attackers,
Hmm.
but free retreat's cool. And then you have Zapdos, which buffs damage. And then for
Yeah.
stage two, well, stage one, you also have Electivire. That's a really good spread Pokemon. It's like played in Zoroark now. I don't know if
Hmm.
it would fit, but like Regielekis plus the Electivires, you can do some nice spread. And then you have the Palma, right? You know this Palma that like accelerates to itself that you were saying was so good. Um, but that one's
Wait.
okay. With
Once. Oh yeah.
Electrogenesis, it accelerates to itself. It
Yeah.
hits damage. It's all right. And
Right. But it's a stage two, so you can't evolve it to something else. That's a
yeah, well,
problem.
like if you have your Flaffy, you might just like evolve into a Palma. It's pretty cool. Also, it's like HP is super low, but that's fine.
Now, do we have anything to devolve Pokemon? Can you devolve the
No, I don't
Pokemon
believe
after
you
you've
can. You
accelerated
no, I
like
don't
four
believe you
energy
can.
onto it and go back to some stage one that you picked out?
No, as far as I know, you cannot devolve your own Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah. But then there's also some good Vs and like VMAX and V stars. There's for
Yes.
Vs, there's Raichu,
Hmm.
Rotom,
Yeah.
uh, Raikou as well. Those are all pretty good. There's some other ones that are fine too. And then
Yes.
VMAXs, there's Flying Pikachu, Bolton,
Hmm.
Zeraora is pretty solid, Regieleki, Dracozolt, Tapu Koko. And then there's also
Yeah.
like Magnezone V Star, which is cool.
Hmm.
I think there's like a box deck that would be kind of tricky to play, but you have all these different options and would actually be really cool.
Right. Magnum. If you still got Magnum EX from to go
Oh,
to
as a
the
stage two, yeah, you could do that
to
one as
stage
well.
two. That's not a V1. So, but looking at these rule box things, yes, there are some because Raiku's very good basic V. So you start to get some good options to evolve into then.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like Entei and Suicune, which I think we meant. I don't know. They had them on my
We
list.
didn't mention them, but I don't think. But you're right, right. Those are certainly V's you can play to evolve into something else.
Yeah. Oh, that's not. That's just a Tinglu deck. I like opened my next deck and it wasn't the right thing.
Okay.
So Psychic, right?
So now we're up to the type that might be the best type right now. It's
Yeah, I think
debatable.
Psychic's like definitely the best.
And I think it's probably the best
Yeah.
type in this too. So, all right. So, looking at abilities, so we have Clefairy as an option. Might not be the best option, but if it's in the active, it accelerates one energy psychic against each of your bench Clefairies. So start off with four Clefairies, get a bunch of energy in your first turn with some switching cards, and then evolve them to something
Yeah,
else.
like you look
Eh,
at these ideas, and then they start to like, set in that like they're not the most consistent thing, but
I
it's
get
still
it.
all right. It's still
It's a
solid.
thought, but there's better ideas, right? You can have Comfy. That's certainly very good, right?
Yeah, so I think there are two main routes, like because there are two good psychic decks right now. I'd say there's Lost
Lost
Zone,
Zone and
and then there's
Gardevoir.
yeah, that's Gardevoir.
Yeah.
So and it depends what you're playing. So, yeah, Comfy's good though.
Right, Comfy, and then it becomes something else, which is a nice
Yeah,
option.
probably Baynet. Baynet's like a Lost Zone stage one. That doesn't
Hmm.
really see too much play, but if you could evolve from Comfy, it would definitely would.
Right, and obviously Curly is very good, but the basic Ralts isn't getting you very far. So you have certain other basic. Let's see. So you have the Galarian Articuno. That any of those Galarian Pokemon that accelerate 2 energy to themselves is a basic is an option, right?
Yeah.
Because you get 2 free energies and become something else later on. Klefki, that's the one that
It like ability locks basic
y-
non-rule box Pokemon.
yeah.
Might
So
only be in the active. I don't remember. I know the Klefki has to be in the active. I don't know if your opponents have
uh
to. I think they don't.
no, right. All of their basic Pokemon don't have abilities.
Yeah.
All basic Pokemon don't have abilities. So
But
and
the rule
it's
boxes don't
real.
have abilities. Or without rule boxes.
No, here. All right, it's Klefki. As long as this Pokemon's the active spot, basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponents have no abilities except for Mischievous Lock. So
Oh, I was
it
thinking of
applies to rule
I
box
was
and
thinking
non-rule
Empoleon.
box.
Okay.
Yes.
Or
So
maybe I
that's
was
very
thinking something
powerful.
else. I
So
don't know.
like,
There are lots of things like that.
so depending on your deck, you put one of these in, right,
Yeah.
or two. Again, obviously, these are nice options. You have Mimikyu, which I love this type of
Wait,
card. I
which
know
the
you
walling one?
the walling one with safeguard prevents damage from EXs and Vs. So you can put a couple of those. It's not always useful. Sometimes it buys you a turn or two, but then either you can evolve it to something else. So I'm liking that a lot. What else do we have for basics? We have Mew. This is maybe one of the better ones for sure, right? With Mysterious Tales from Celebrations, you look at the top 6 cards, put an item into your hand, which is great, but then we can evolve it to something else. I'm liking that a lot. We have Spiritomb as another basic V's in play. Don't have abilities, doesn't have to be active. So again, you probably, most decks are going to put some Spiritomb in as long as it's not causing trouble to yourself. So you have a lot of nice starting options, I would say. And of
Yeah, you
course, you
can
have
just play like like a psychic engine with whatever type of attacking deck, which is cool. I think the psychic engine's very
Mhm.
solid.
And then you have Curlia, obviously, which is a nice route to go. And then we have the Miss Magus, also as another stage one. When you play it to evolve, you can move an energy from your opponent's active to one of their benched, and you can then play that, but then you can evolve that to whatever stage 2 you want later on. So you could even put 4 Miss Magius in a deck, and who wouldn't love to play against that?
Yeah, that sounds so fun.
But you see, you kind of want to do it, don't you?
Uh,
No,
yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. It's all right. I don't know. I think Curly is better.
it is. Yes.
And Curly is
I
really
mean,
good. Miss Magus is like okay.
yeah. And then you go. What do? Then you play those, and then you have your Curlia, play your Mew, you play your Curlia, and then you play Tinkaton EX after that. Why not do that, right?
Tinket
Or
an
something else.
EX. I
Well, what do you?
guess.
Some stage 2, right?
Okay,
You
so
get
yeah,
any
okay.
stage
So
2
I
to
think
attack with.
so. Gardevoir, the regular Gardevoir, is very good. So is
I didn't put
Glade
down Gardevoir because Gardevoir is just it is what it is. Yeah,
and
Gardevoir. Oh, it
Tinkaton
involves
and
some Curlia.
Tinkaton
Oh,
also. Tinkaton's
I,
discard 1, draw 3, which is really good.
and then right. Then you have the other Tinkaton also that you need to have for sure too, with that's ability. So it's an option. So, but I didn't put down Gardevoir because it's already in the deck. It's not interesting. But so
Yeah,
that's what I had for Psychic. It's a solid list of options to
yeah.
build
So how
on.
many cards do you have?
I don't know, like 10 or so.
Okay. So I have. Oh wait, yours are all in the same deck, right?
It is, yeah. So
I
I
have. I
can't
have like 10 different decks
separate them out.
because that'd be too many cards if I stuck two of them together.
I think I
So
have 11
yeah,
maybe.
I have 44. So there's also the other Miss Magus, which I thought you were gonna bring up, which is a spread based
Hmm.
one. It's pretty good. It's actually like it's quite good in single price decks. And it does 2 damage and has 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon for 1 psychic. And also, if you're hidden doing knocked out and one shotted,
Hmm.
you do 80 in return, which is pretty good.
Yes.
But then you can evolve it into the Lunala, which doubles the amount of damage
Mm,
attached to all your opponent's Pokemon, which
that
is
is nice. Yeah.
pretty insane. So you can just like have an insane spread deck, which I think it's actually very viable. And
Hmm.
there are other like okay spread basics as well. And then let's see, what should these are worth talking about. Oh, you didn't mention Sableye either. Sableye is super good for Lost Zone. Like you can evolve it. You
Uh,
don't really want to, but you could.
right. Right. You want it to attack with. It's the comfy that you want to get early that maybe you evolve out of. But
Yeah. And then there's Pumpkaboo also, which like discards stadiums, which is cool.
right,
Um,
that's fallen off, but it would start to maybe come back. if you could
Yeah.
evolve with
Let's
something
see.
else.
Which are these all? Oh, you got your boys Greavard and Houndstone.
Yeah, I love those.
You do. There's a Ceruledge, which is actually a solid reversal attacker. Again, it's like one of those Zoroark Pokemon, but it's pretty good. There's a Banette that like hits decently. And there's the Banette EX as well as for item lock. There's Rabombi, which is like moves energy to the bench as well, so you can do like Miss Magius and Rabombi and stuff. And then there's a bunch of like V's and V Maxes and V Stars. So you
Right.
got let's see, which are the best V's? Zacian V,
You have Zacian
Jirachi
V, which is
V,
great.
Mimikyu V, and Golurk V. I think are all pretty. Golurk V is not like that good, but it's kind of interesting. Mimikyu V is actually super good because it's invincible the turn you play it. So you can play like a Mimikyu V and then evolve it to like I don't know, like a Shadow Rider or something. But you can like evolve into something that's good.
Well,
Sylveon,
Shadow Rider's pretty good.
Shadow is like good, but like I'd say it's worse than Gardevoir EX and stuff like that. So. And then there's also a Palossand, which should actually start seeing play. It is 4 energy, but you could definitely power it up with Gardevoir. And it instant KOs any basic. So that's like good against Gen Pow, and it's a single price.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's some other ones, but I think that's enough for Psychic.
I mean, what I'll say is
one more. There's the Togekiss line, which when you like play them, you heal.
Okay.
So you can get some like healing with that, which is all right.
Yeah, I mean, look, Psychic is super good in Standard right now, so this doesn't get the huge boost Grass does, but it still gets better, right? So
it's like you can evolve your Vault into your Curlet into your Gardevoir or a Gallade. It's crazy.
But it brings in a few other things, right? So it still may be the best. It might not get jumped by anything else. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And next is Fighting, right? I think.
Yes, Fighting type, which I just have a couple myself. So
I think I have 31.
I have 2. Because I have 2, yeah. So I have Galarian Zapdos. Again, just, accelerating energy is an option. And then this is the one I think this becomes an auto 4 of an every deck, and that's Hawlucha, right? Flying entry, put 2.
Well, why is it a 4 of an every deck if you don't like it? Well, if you're playing a fighting deck, but you didn't find any
a fighting deck
Pokemon
that you're evolving to something else. Well, I don't. I'm just saying if you have stage 1s and stage 2s in a fighting deck, then you put 4 Hawluchas, right? I mean, what else are you going to evolve it from?
Yeah, I think Fighting. I was messing with it, and I like looking at it. I think it's probably the weakest or one of the weakest. There are some okay fighting ones. So there's like some Lucarios, which are good. There's a Hariyama that's like super annoying, and a Minchao and like a Primeape that are okay. And there's your boy Claydol. There's like
Claydol's
a
good.
Sandaconda. Claydol's not that good, but it's fine. It's funny.
No, it's not. I mean, what you're gonna play Ting Lu, right? That's what you're gonna play if you do fighting.
Yeah. Well, no, you can just do like Hawlucha, and then you can do like Lucario. Like Lucario is pretty all right. I like both of them, and then there's also the Annihilate and Machamp are both super like good. Machamp has like 300 HP, and Annihilate does like 300 damage. So both of those are super good. And there's also like Glamora, which is annoying and like poison and stuff. But then I think the V's are all right. You got like Ursaluna, which is like super tanky, and then you have like Medicham, Galarian Zapdos, Hisuian Arcanine V, and then you also have like the Urshifus, Aerodactyl, Decidueye, Hisuian Decidueye. I think it's like a solid type, but I don't know. It might be the weakest as well. You got Sandaconda, right?
I love Sandaconda. Look, look. You want to do fighting, just play a standard Ting Lu deck. I'm not sure these decks get much better than that.
Yeah, that might be true.
I mean, we all seeing you're probably seeing too much Ting Lu on the rank ladder, but it's a very solid deck.
Yeah, we were gonna have our segment, one of the segments, be what to play against Ting Lu, and the only thing I had said was just play Ting Lu.
And I couldn't come up with a good solution. Like the old deck, a deck like Bliss EV that's just really simple, like a brain dead play 4 of everything.
Yeah, like Blissey, you got Drakazol, you could just play some like basic Arceus, but they're all like weak to it. So.
Right, but they're weak to it, right? So and obviously you
and
can
they're
play,
like not that good either. I mean, Arceus is good, but
yeah. But a deck that doesn't need abilities, that you just play thick lines of stuff. But I couldn't think of anything good today. So anyway,
yeah,
we didn't. So let's not discuss that. So we covered fighting.
Yeah. I don't think fighting's that good. But now
No.
Dark. So I think Dark's okay. Do you want to start with Dark? I think Dark's like interesting.
Yeah. And I'm going to stress darkness, which is actually the
Oh
TCG
yeah,
term,
Darkness.
correct?
I have Darkness written down. I said Dark.
That's the one that people often say, right? They flip between the two terms.
No, most
So
people just say Dark. Very few people say Darkness.
okay, so I don't have a lot for it. I have Glare and Moltres to get those energies down again, right?
Yeah, I actually think Dark might be one of the best types.
It could be. And some of the attacking options are good, so which I didn't really.
Attacking options are good. I don't have many
Maybe
attacking
not.
options.
So let's see. Galarian Weezing. That's the one that adds
It like
doubles on the Weezing,
doubles.
right?
Yeah, doubles like your
Or
Wheezing Dark energy. But like, why? I don't know. It's not that good.
well, or you have or the other Weezing.
Like you evolve your Pokemon to a stage 2, and then you have half as much energy attached.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, you do the other Weezing, right? That then 20 for every
Yeah, it's
fighting.
okay. Dark.
It's not good. So so you got Liepard, right, for the engine piece
Yeah.
there.
So I think Liepard is really interesting. Like it's the same thing as Curlia. And then I've lost it. I still can't find it. And then you evolve into Sue and Samurai, which is discard 1, draw 3, which is the same thing as Tinkaton, but it has more HP.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then there's also for like entry pieces, there's a Sue and Sneasler, which is really interesting. That reduces the retreat cost of all your Pokemon of your active by 2. Actually, Hisuian and Sneasler doesn't reduce its own like retreat cost, which is kind of funny. So they can kind of trap that, but I think that's solid. Yeah. Oh, I found Liepard. Let's go.
Okay. And so those are good. You have the Mighty Ina, of course.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean, if you're playing Dark, like you don't really need it. It's there to counter Mew.
Yeah. I mean, you might toss it in, right? But you probably don't need it, I guess. So
Yeah, you got the Thievel that says if your opponent has 2 or fewer prizes remaining, whenever they play a supporter from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to your bench Pokemon V.
Yeah, that's what darkness decks are lacking these days, isn't it? That card.
Yeah, no, there's like the other Thievel that's like the Marnie card kind of. There's some. There's a Weavile that's like some pseudo Gust, and then there's the really interesting one. I think the basic you'd probably play is going to be Spiritomb, which says when it's KO'd, you search deck for a card, which is pretty solid. Like that going down gives you some nice like oomph into the game.
Yeah, it's only half the cards that Radiant Jirachi gives.
No, Radiant Jirachi gets you 3.
A third, and you think Radiant Jirachi's garbage.
I think Radiant Jirachi isn't good. I think like the decks that people play, they're like, yo, I'm going to put this in my Zoroark deck, and I'm like, why? And then you attack with it, and you inevitably flip like one heads, one tails, and then it dies. And then your opponent pass, and then it dies. See, like Spiritomb works on their path, and it's like not that good, but like it's better than like Purloin.
You might not have it. You might not have another basic you want to play. So
there's Evoltol. There's some others like some Spiritomb, some other ones. There's some Absols, but yeah.
And we have Moltres V, right? So if you're playing any V Stars or V Max, did you want to jump to that?
Galarian Moltres V, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Galarian Moltres V. So with Dire Wings Flame, right?
Dire Flame Wings.
Dire Flame Wings, yeah. That's exactly what I said. If you heard it differently.
Good thing we didn't mess up that wishy-washy one.
So you can accelerate dark energy from the discard pile to it once per turn. So that's nice, right? So if you have VMAX, V-Star, you probably want to evolve from this V.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. So we like kind of made the rules ourselves. There's like general rules that Mutant Evolution follows, but usually people in Mutant drafts never put like V's in. So there's Hoopa V, which is like a dual type, but only when it's in play. Did we decide on that yet or not? There's also Kecleon, but Kecleon's bad.
Whether you could, like if you have a Hoopa V, can you evolve? I think we were just going to say it's just a fight, a darkness to evolve into.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but, you know.
Yeah, because it's not that good of a card that you're going to want to play that. You have better choices, certainly like Galarian Moltres V is better. In for Psychic type, you got Zacian, you can beat that too, so.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, obviously, you're right, because then you have Kecleon, you can make that evolve into whatever you want, but I don't really see that as getting you anywhere positive at the end of the day.
Yeah. But then I think it's like interesting. You got Umbreon V, which VMAX, which is super good for gusting. Darkrai and Sue and Sarah both have good V-Star powers as well. But
right.
They're both like solid support lines. Honestly, you might just play like Drapion and then like Umbreon. It's like a 1/1. There's like a Mew counter plus some like Gust, which is kind of cool. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. And then there's also, let's see, there's some other ones I have here. Nothing like insane. King Gambit, Mabostiff, some interesting Pokemon there for like some utility.
Hmm.
Yeah, at Zoroark. And there's also the Alolan Raticate combo with either Crobat or Paldean Clodsire. Have you played that?
No, I don't think so.
I've seen people play it. It's like one of those like YouTube decks that pops up a bunch, but it's kind of bad. But if they all evolve from the same thing, then it could work. So yeah,
Yeah, I think Darkness offers some decent options. I think it's interesting, and it gets a lot better than it is now. So I think I'm liking that as a type to try out.
yeah. Okay.
That-
Next up we have Metal. And Metal
yeah,
is I don't know. I think like Metal's not that good.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, you
I
got
have
what do you have?
I have two cards. I have Bronzong, which is your old favorite,
Yep.
which
hmm
probably isn't. It's still probably
Broken.
not
It's
that good,
broken.
but now you can evolve it from whatever and into something else. But when do you really need that ability? I don't know. And then you got Rivervroom, which is a nice engine piece. Um, Wherever that is, I'm looking for it. Right, you
Yeah.
discard a energy and you draw to 6 cards in hand. So it's one more of a barrel, which is nice. So
Kind of two as well. Because you discard the
right,
energy.
because you're discarding one. So yes.
Yeah, so there are a few ones. I only have 23 for this one. So there's a Galarian Stunfisk, which is like a disruption-based one, which is kind of interesting. And there's also
Mhm.
the Dialga, which is another like control one. So I don't think you can really go control with this, but maybe. And then there's also the Orthworm, which if that's like a bunch of metals, it has 230
Yeah.
HP. Again, the classic case of you evolve it, it dies, which isn't good, but that's a thing. There's like a Zacian and Zamazenta, which are all right. Actually, they're pretty good. Um, then there's like a Melmetal. Melmetal is
Mhm.
actually really good. It's the same thing as the Alolan Vulpix V-Star. Pretty much where it walls Pokemon with abilities. It's usually traditionally played in a Zoroark style. It's actually one of the best Zoroark attacks in the game, in my opinion, with the reversal. But you could also play it with Bronzong. Escavalier actually takes 100 less from V's, which is pretty nice. I've never quite gotten it to work, but it's cool. Cobalion and Magzone and Klinklang all accelerate.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I think like Metal's okay, and then you have some like all right V. I mean, you have good Vs. You have Land Berserker, but then you have Zamazenta and Genesect, which are both
Mhm.
pretty insane. And then you have some interesting V Max and V Stars. You got Zamazenta, Metagross, Zacian, and Dialga, which are all like all right.
Yeah.
I think like the typing's like okay. I don't know. I don't think it's great, but I think you have some interesting concepts here.
Yeah, it's okay. It's probably middle of the pack, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd say it's near the bottom probably, but it's not awful.
I guess is it better than grass? That's
Well,
the
yeah,
standard,
I
right?
think it's noticeably better. No, sorry, no, I think it's
It's
noticeably
worse
worse
than
than grass.
grass,
Yeah, I
right?
think it's much
Okay.
worse.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay, now we have two more types. So we have dragon next, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
dragon's
That's the
kind of
order
weird
that.
because like you can't really attack with any of them because like you evolve it and all of a sudden its attack type's completely different.
Right.
Um,
The energies are like all. It's bad enough with dragon, and now it becomes like probably unworkable.
yeah,
But
so well, there's a few things. So you had two, right? And I think I know what they are.
I had
You
two.
told me.
Right. One is the basic because I looked for abilities, and I played the Regidrago. Drago. You could play four of potentially.
We
You
can only
draw
use
if you have.
one per turn,
Yeah, but
but
but it makes it easy to get it there, right?
yeah,
Unless if you don't have maybe you have better basics, but obviously draws to four per turn, and then you can evolve that one of them into the Altaria, which then once per turn you search your deck for a supporter and you put it on top of your deck. So you still
yeah.
have to get it into your hand, of course, but you've gotten it. You got one step closer.
Yeah. And then there's also Appleton and Flapple are for only one colorless, their main
Yeah.
attack, where they like do a bunch of damage. So I think those are both pretty solid.
Hmm.
Um, there's some other ones. They're like good dragon Pokemon, but they're all kind of like weird. They don't necessarily work together. I haven't gone through all of them to look at like all the typings, but they're okay. But I don't think they really work together.
No, well, because like you talk about Appleton and Flapple are good, and even Altaria. Well, why don't you just play a Zoroark deck and it's better, right?
I'm not sure about that. I think
It might be better.
yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean it could be, but not because of that reason.
Yeah, because
Um,
it opens up other possibilities.
Yeah. But then last type is colorless, and you said you like this one, right? How many cards do you have?
I think this is. I mean, it's not a lot for me. It's like 5.
5. Well,
For me, it's a lot.
I got
So
46.
well, I'm looking at it, the kind of engine pieces. I think So what do we have? So you can play your boy Squovit. You can play 4
Let's
Squovit in
go.
every deck if you want, because it can evolve to anything you want. You can Squovit and evolve that into a barrel, which is what it
Yeah,
wants
that's
to be,
actually like
be
that's
paired
super
with.
good.
So that's one thing. I don't think I play 4 Squovit, but you play a couple of them since it evolves. I really like the Flamingo. I
Flamingo.
mean,
Flamingo. It's not a
Flamigo.
flamingo. It's a
Sorry,
flamingo.
that's right. Nothing to do with the Flamingo. Any visual similarities is purely coincidental. So Flamigo, Instaflock, when you play it from your hand onto your bench, search for up to 3 Flamigos. Right now you do it so you can discard them with United Wings deck, but now you can just get 4 basics down, turn 1, and be set up for whatever you need to evolve into.
Yeah, you can play the craziest United Wings deck you've ever seen. Or no, the other idea I had was you play the. Well, actually, do I have this Pokemon on my list? No, I think I forgot it. We can play like craziest Reggie's deck you've ever seen. You can literally do anything. Well,
There
not
you go.
literally anything, but pretty much. Actually, you got
You can evolve
6
into
types.
anything.
Yeah, you got 6 types.
After you accelerate all that energy, and then you just accelerate to whatever you want.
Yeah,
There you go.
sure it'll be consistent.
You have 85 different Snorlaxes you can play.
Yeah, which one do you have?
Let's see. How many do you have first?
I think I have 3.
I have 2.
Or maybe
so-
just 2. Oh no,
so
I just have 2. Yeah, I got the
so
control
Unfazed
one.
Fat, which does the 180 damage. That's the attacking one. You have to flip 2 coins to wake up, but we have therapeutic energy now, so that's an option. You have to get the energy on. I'm not sure how you do that, but that's not my concern. And then you have the block Snorlax, the control one, that you can't opponent can't retreat. I paired into that today with a deck that didn't want that matchup, so I'm not thinking kind thoughts of it at the moment.
Wait, you were playing it or you were against it?
I went up against it.
And you were playing what?
I think I was working on my Pachirisu Honchkrow, and they kept gusting up my Honchkrow. And of course, I can't attack with it, and I only play 2 switch cards.
Imagine if you could put 4 float stone on your 1 Honchkrow, though. 4 air balloon, which would cost negative.
That's right.
6.
Then I get energy. I get to accelerate energy when I retreat it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but Snorlaxes are good, right? At least those 2 are certainly solid.
It's Snorlax.
Snorlax? Is that the proper term?
I don't know.
I know. And then we do have, I don't know what you put for stage 1. Oh, you got the barrel, right? And then you
I got another basic for you. That's interesting.
Go ahead.
Eevee.
Yep.
So yeah, I did actually have this in the list. So it says once during your turn, when you play a Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your other Eevee, you may search the deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put onto this Pokemon. So you can evolve, when you evolve your one Eevee, you can evolve your others even if you played them already.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get
and you can search for any stage 1 colorless Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or EX also if there was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what there is for that, but
there's Oinkologne.
Oh yeah, an Oinkolone's good. So I sorry, don't mean to disrespect the Oink because I do like that.
Yeah.
That's a good option too. I don't know what. So and then you got your stage 2. You got Archeops, right? Which you're just gonna throw in
Archeops
every
is
colorless
good.
deck.
I don't know because it doesn't work with most decks.
Well, it has to be special energy. Yeah, that's true. You're not playing it in your Dialga deck and such, so I'm not sure.
Truly the craziest Reggie's deck you've ever seen. Yeah. So there's some interesting things. Is that it?
Well, that's it. Well, I put it in Reggie's.
Didn't you have like Arceus and Blissey and whatever? I'll talk about them.
Everybody knows what that stuff is.
Well,
so
yeah, but you can evolve your Blissey into
you can do your Blissey into your Arceus.
Or your Lugia, or you could do Weird here.
Into your Lugia. Yes.
And then I think there's Pidgeot V, which is also kind of interesting. But anyways, so then there's a few others here. Let's see which are worth talking about. So there's in terms of control, there's also some Staraptors, which are okay. But then the big thing is Snorlax into, I think there's a stage 1 control Pokemon I have. That was very solid. Maybe not. Maybe it was just maybe it was just the engine piece. Oh, there's Pelipper. Pelipper I really like. I hyped it up a bunch, and I think it's still good. I think people just don't play it. It's awkward, but it lets you search for a supporter from your discard pile or your deck
Hmm.
on play, which is really nice. You can also play with barrel, which is good. And then you have the stage 2, which is really good as well. Of the Ursaluna, which is the one that allows you to recover 2 cards from discard into your hand when you
Hmm.
attack with it for only 1 colorless. So that's
Yeah.
really nice. It's like a stage 2, I think,
Hmm.
for control based decks. And then and you have the blocked Snorlax, as we said before. Some Staraptors, which kind of like remove Pokemon that one walls of basics. You got some spread stuff. You got a bunch of stuff. You got Cyclizar, like a solid pivot. Blissey, which is
Yeah.
like heals and stuff.
Hmm.
Not the V. There's a Tornadus, which like is a force switch. Oh, and then there's Dunsparce. Dunsparce is really good as well. You probably play that in pretty much every colorless deck if your main attacker is like
Yes.
colorless because it's just good. So
Right, and you turn it into something else you want. So you can make it to a barrel or something, whatever. So
so
yeah,
I think that's about it. I think we're gonna. I've made a deck actually. I'll tell you about the deck. I mean, it is grass.
grass one.
It's
Okay.
grass. It has Meowscarada, and it's mostly like a Meowscarada deck.
Okay.
As I said, I didn't get any Meowscras into play turn 1. I got a Beautifly though. It was interesting. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but I think like the idea is really interesting. And so I
Hmm.
think we're gonna play some. We'll see. Um, Maybe
Right.
because you're very busy. I'm a little busy, but you're quite busy this week. So maybe some time later as well.
Yeah, something to do on Untap. We can try it out since we mastered that recently, so we can
Yeah, we're
start doing this.
professionals.
But right, because it doesn't automate things. It allows you to play the game whatever format you want. So
Yeah.
that's a nice thing about that type of online game. So
Yeah. But I think that's it, right? I mean, it's been gone on for a little while, but yeah.
yes,
We hope you enjoyed. And as always, check us out on YouTube and Spotify. We're pretty close to getting monetized on Spotify. So hopefully we'll be there soon. Who knows? But eventually we'll get there, assuming we keep this up. And subscribe as well
yep,
to 10 Types in Uncommon Fossil on YouTube. We'll
yep.
see.
And
I might have
give
some
us
ideas for the
comments.
future that are
Yeah.
interesting, but we'll see if those ever happen. But as you said, as Uncommon Fossil said, give us comments.
Yep. All right. Take care.
Yep. See you next time.